Hey, everybody. This is Pete Greco, Vice President of Sales and Technology at Productive Corporation, joined by my good friends from Perception Point, Modi Eluel and Kevin O'Neill. They're going to be helping us learn a lot about Perception Point, and hopefully everybody's going to have a great experience. If you want to see a custom demo following this event, reach out to your Productive rep or follow up with them via email, and we'll be happy to get something going. So here's the agenda. Meet Productive in 1 minute. Just like it says, you're going to meet us in 1 minute. We're going to talk a little bit about why you need to be thinking about mail security, talk a little bit about what's cool about Perception Point, and then take a quick look at the product. Q&A all throughout, so please chat me your questions, and we'll be happy to address them and introduce them as they come up. So, Productive Corporation, who are we? We're players in the mid-market security space. We've been around since 2001. We provide security solutions for the folks in that middle category. We offer specialized expertise to answer technical and licensing questions. We implement, test, do vulnerability assessments, optimize, pen test, all kinds of stuff to help you figure out how to get your security to the next level. We also do configuration and implementation of the products that we sell. We maintain a robust set of educational information. You can check out our new website at productivecorp.com/solvingsecurity to see some of our content, educational videos, and additional information. And let us know how we can help you. Check us out, help@productivecorp.com. Call our direct number, 612-375-0204. All right, so without further ado, we're going to hand the microphone over to Kevin O'Neill, a gentleman that we have known at Productive Corporation for a very long time. When he hopped over to Perception Point, he reached out to us, got us an introduction to the product, to the way that they do things. They have kind of a unique process there on how they are able to ingest and identify threats using their HAP, hardware-assisted platform. And Kevin's going to tell us all about that. So let's give him some control.
Oh, let's see. Okay.
And
well, first of all, while we're getting that, items. Okay, here we are. So, first of all, Pete, thank you very much for having us today. As Pete mentioned, the relationship between myself and Productive does go back several years. I've been in cybersecurity for several years throughout my career. And when I started over at Perception Point, we started to, they asked me who are the best partners to work with that we should be working with. And the very first name that came to my mind was Productive, and he was actually the first call that I made. So very excited to be working with Pete and the team again, and looking forward to taking things from there. Can everyone see my screen?
We can.
Wonderful. So without any more further ado, we are Perception Point. We're email, shared drive, and messaging security. Everything is done in the cloud with AWS. And what's going to make us unique from other competition out there, your Proofpoint, your Mimecast, how we are handling the scanning. They are going to be looking at doing sandboxing, where we are not going to be looking, we're actually not going to be using sandboxing at all. And the reason why that's such a big deal is when we started the company 4 years ago, we decided, in order to be a successful company, we have to solve a problem. The problem we decided was, for the last several years, over 90% of all threats have started, or all breaches have started through email. And essentially what that means is there's an ability to improve, and that's what we're trying to do on our end. This is a brief overview as to how we do things. As I mentioned, everything's done in the cloud. The product. We're going to essentially break things down before we go and look at all of the threats out there. But we're going to break things down to get a better look at the email and run it through the security gauntlet, as I like to call it. And we'll touch base on that a little bit more into the discussion. But essentially, this is a brief overview as to what we're going to be showing you today. And when it comes to when you're looking for an email security vendor, you're going to be concerned as to what type of threats are going to be out there that are going to be able to be stopped. And everyone's familiar with some of the easier stuff to be caught, and that's great. But what's going to stop the nasty stuff out there? And we have a couple examples on here. Probably the most common that we see are either malicious files or impersonation, but just someone's trying to trick the user into doing something that they're not supposed to do, or clicking on somewhere they're not supposed to click. And essentially, that's where we come in. And right here is going to be a map as to how everything works. And I'll kick it over to Modi and let him start talking about things on his end.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. So I'll describe the platform that we built for all different types of threats. So what we see on email is that there are threats that are related to phishing. There is the standard malware that you could probably see every day. Some of it is known, some of it is new, but maybe not requiring a very high skills in cybersecurity for the attackers to create these attacks. And then beyond that, there is the what's called APT, the Investment System Threat. And the APT is also related to 0 days and some of the more serious breaches that were in the news in the last few years. Something starting with 0 days that no one has seen before. It's going through the standard perimeter defensive solutions, and it goes in, and at some point the attacker is starting to attack and steal information or do whatever it does in the network. So we've looked at all the different threats, and this is what led us to build the entire solution. If we go from left to right here, then on an email, we're starting with a spam filter. Spam is, I guess, a problem that is now kind of solved, but there's still some noise that gets to the inbox. So we have the spam filter to avoid that and send what's not malicious, but also not something that you want in your inbox to the spam folder. After that, we're looking at the email, and with our recursive attacker, which is the unique solution that we've created, we're basically flattening the email. So we want to look at every component separately, and we want to make sure that attackers are not able to hide their attacks from us. Whether it will be a link that redirects to different links, maybe goes 5, 10 layers down. So we'll get to the source of it. If it's a link in a file, it's a file that downloads another file, or a link that downloads a file. Any other example that you can think of, that's the purpose of the recursive unpacker, to understand that and to break it into small pieces that each of them will go through the entire scan with all of our engines. After that, the first scan that we're doing is on the threat intelligence. So this is by building basically a database of understanding known threats and things that the world has seen until now. So for the threat intelligence, we have 4 different sources. 3 of them are partners, and 1 of them is a threat intelligence engine that we've built at Perception Point. We combine all together. Everything will lead to just one verdict. So we're doing our calculations in order to reduce the amount of false positives, and we're verifying that what we say is malicious is actually malicious. On top of that, we have our phishing engines. So on phishing, if we're looking at this problem, which is probably a problem that most organizations are suffering from it in one way or another. There are the phishing links that are using domains that already have bad reputation. So most likely, if I'm getting a phishing link, then I'm probably not the first one that got it, and hopefully someone reported on this link already. So some engines already marking it as malicious, and this is the URL reputation. So we have a few engines that are based on URL reputation, but that's not covering 100% of the cases. And for that, we've built our own engines that are based on image recognition. So we actively go to the website. We're looking at the graphics there. We're looking at the links. We verify that everything is matching what we're able to scan. And this is how we decide if we clean the site or decide that it's sufficient. It's a unique solution. It's a very successful one, and something that we see a lot of unique catches comparing to other engines that we're using and also ones that we're not using. On top of that, we have our static signature layer, and this on the static signature layer, it's more of the standard antiviruses that are out there. So we have 5 engines here. 4 of them are partners, and one of them is an engine that we built to close some of the gaps that we saw on the antiviruses area and try to deal with more sophisticated signatures and catch them as well. And the last component in the everyday threats is the BEC. So BEC, or business email compromise, that's also a problem that probably most of us know, and got one email like that of someone trying to send an email with maybe a display name of my CEO, president, CFO, and whoever that is usually on the management asking for something from the employee. And there's several different checks that we can do in order to catch such emails. So this is another layer that we built at Perception Point in order to protect against this type of threats. So everything that I've described so far is more on the everyday side, right? The standard attacks that you're probably seeing a few times a day, and some of them will be caused by the traditional solutions, some of them will not. And this is the layer that we built for that. On top of that, we have the layers for the 0 days and end day threats, and this is where our unique solution that is different from a sandbox comes into play. So our hub stands for hardware-assisted platform. Is looking at CPU level data in order to look for an exploit technique that is being used by the attacker. I'll try to explain the difference. So a sandbox is essentially an environment that gets the file, let's say an attachment, a Word file attachment. So the sandbox solutions will put it into the sandbox and will try to make the attacker make a mistake and release the malware. And this is how they can find out if the file is malicious or not. Now, the problem with this solution is that, first of all, there is over 70 million variants of malware every month. So that's a lot to catch up, and it's something that, they'll probably miss some here and there. The other problem is that Sandbox has been around for many years now, for about 10 years, and there's attackers learn what they're dealing against, and they develop evasion techniques that will go through the sandbox. So one of the, simple ones, examples that we can have for evasion technique is attacker needs to understand that he's in a sandbox environment, and then go to sleep for 30 minutes, 2 hours, 2 days, and find himself on the other side after the sandbox cleared the file because the malware was not released. What we're doing is a completely different approach. We're using bare metal machines on our cloud solution, and using these bare metal machines, we have the latest Intel chipsets that includes a feature that is called processor trace. Now, processor trace gives us the entire trace for every application that we're running, and that allows us to look at CPU level data. So we're actually looking at the assembly code of the same Word file example that we talked about on a sandbox. We'll just look at it now on the CPU level, and we'll look at the assembly code line by line to look if there is any exploit technique that is being used by the attacker. So if we see a mismatch on the execution flow of this Word file that we're scanning, comparing to a valid execution flow of Word from Office 2016, 2013, 2010, then this is where we're going to check if there is any exploit techniques that is being used. So I said earlier that there are 72 million variants of malware every month. There are only 14 exploit techniques that are being used by attackers in the last 5 years or so. So that's a really different number, and it's something that allows us to be really focused on what we're looking at. Our research team is always looking at what's new, and we believe that we know whether the next exploit techniques that are going to be used, and we already have support for them. So we're always trying to be ahead of the game and be able to protect from the most advanced threats.
Pete, any questions from you or anyone in the crowd before we move on to the next slide?
Whoops. No, let's keep it rolling.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, so this is a bit more information about the things that I've described. So the next generation dynamic detection, this is our hub, and this is the unique way that we're using CPU level data in order to find exploit techniques that are being used. I'm happy to show a demo to anyone that will want to see it in action and will want to actually see the assembly code that we're going to in order to clean every attachment or URL that we're scanning. The evasion techniques that are used against sandboxes are not going to be able to go to our solution, because we see that in order to have this evasion technique running for the attacker, he needs to break the execution flow of the file or the browser that we're scanning, and we will catch it there before he's even able to go to sleep for a certain amount of time. And the one thing that is also nice about the solution is that, again, we're not tied to email, everything that Kevin mentioned earlier. So we're looking at every platform, any type of content that comes to your network through any channel is something that we want to protect from threats. And with the same platform, we'll do all the scanning and clean the file.
And so one of the cool things that people have really enjoyed about our product is just how easy it is and how we can really work with you and to achieve your goals. So it's I mentioned that it was done in AWS, so it's one-click deployment. To get a proof of concept up and running, it's very simple. It's typically done in less than an hour, and sometimes even faster than that. Real active protection right away. and zero delay. A lot of the times when people are, the people that we're talking to that are using sandboxing-based email security methods, one of the things they'll talk to us about is latency, where they'll see, we've seen anywhere from 2 to 20 minutes to get an email verdict. So we're doing things in 30 seconds or less. So obviously the zero delay is a big opportunity. And to that same point, since the delay can be so much, there are times when people aren't running everything through their sandbox. So those are some of the high-level features that people really enjoy as to what we're able to bring to the table. Now, as we mentioned,
and Kevin,
yep.
Kevin, you guys kind of have a unique situation where you can move your MX record over to Perception Point, but it's not actually a requirement to get the mail flowing through there, and that gives you guys the ability to put this in behind a current system and catch things that it might not be catching. And it seems to me like that actually makes it a little bit easier even to do a trial. Do I have the right read on that, or can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely, you're correct. The way that we can integrate is not only by changing the MX records, we can create routing rule on the email system that anyone is using. So whether it will be Office 365, G Suite, or even Exchange, we can help creating a connector and then set a routing rule to route all the emails through this connector. And this will be how Perception Point is scanning the email. So kind of looking at it as an X-ray, right? A hop in the email before getting to the inbox. We're giving our thumbs up or thumbs down. We'll quarantine everything that is malicious, and everything that is clean will go to the user's inbox.
And you brought up another great point there, Pete, where the majority of the customers we talk about replacing their current email solutions, but there are people that have gotten through the scenario and just like the idea of having you have a layered approach to most other things in your network, so why not do email? Why do email any differently? So that was another thing that was very unique about us in the cybersecurity world, because usually if you got to pick one and you can't work with multiple at the same time without causing disruption, we're able to work with any email security vendor out there as well. So no, that's a very good point. And another thing is too, doesn't matter if your email's in the cloud, is on-prem, we're able to work with everyone out there. And again, the proof's in the pudding here. But yeah, so in terms of email security, we're able to work with whatever situation you have over there, and usually give you options as to what you want to do. Another thing that we've mentioned before, we're able to work with shared drive security. For example, if people are concerned about potentially uploading a malicious file into their shared drive, that happens at that point. You're essentially helping the malware distribute itself throughout your entire network. The software, the product works the same as Modi discussed in terms of having all the layers. It's just essentially it would be working with your shared drives instead of your email. We're able to work with all the big ones out there: Google Drive, SharePoint, OneDrive, Dropbox, you name it. But that's another thing that's been very well received, because not a lot of people have really thought about that. When you ask someone, what would happen if a malicious file got uploaded into your shared drives? And they're like, oh, I never thought about that. So that's another thing that we're able to do. And finally, we're also able to bring messaging security as well. The most common one that people have been interested in has been Slack and whatnot. But again, the product works just the same, and everything from there. But yeah, that's what we've got today. We appreciate everyone's attention and the opportunity given to us by Pete and the team over at Productive to come here today and talk about what we have and what we're capable of doing. Any questions for anyone before we wrap things up today?
So Kevin, talk a little bit about what you're able to do with the share drives. That's a little bit different from what we're talking about with email security. Here we're talking about unstructured data, right? So can you talk a little bit more about what you guys are doing there?
Sure. Yeah, I'll take that. So on shared drives, which is something that is now used more and more by companies, drives like OneDrive, SharePoint, whether it will be an on-prem SharePoint or SharePoint online, Google Drive, Dropbox, Box. These are the major ones that we see out there, but also there are ones that are smaller and proprietary that are being used. And what we offer is a scan for every file that is being uploaded or edited on the drive. Now, there's a few different threats that can come from on the drive, and one of them will be that maybe a company opens a drive to third parties, to partners, and partners are uploading files. So someone can come in the middle and maybe break into this connection and send malicious content there. Or if your partner is breached and you're getting malicious files because of their breach, then you're also exposed on the file. And from an internal side, some people can make honest mistakes and get malicious files that they didn't know that they are malicious and upload them to the drive. The risk here is that every file that is being shared on the drive is most likely shared with a few people within the company, so it can spread around very quickly and can make a big damage to the company. So our solution, with the same layered approach that we described earlier, will scan every file that is being uploaded and make sure that the drive is always clean from malicious content. And again, we can support all the main drives, the ones that are the ones that are widely used by different companies, but also proprietary drives or something that people have created maybe internally. We have an API that we can support that as well.
Sounds pretty cool. And then is that a separate interface from the mail security, or can you manage those from the same console?
It will be managed in the same console. The admin will be able to see on his dashboard the channels that we're supporting. So whether it will be emails, and if there are incidents that we're catching on the email side, it will indicate that it comes from email. And if it is from the drive, then it will indicate that it will come from the drive. We have also our own incident response team that are looking at this incident, so we can provide support also to the admin that is using our solution in his organization. And we'll provide also reports that are related to mail, drive, and any other channel.
Nice. So, an area where I think this would be particularly interesting if you have a lot of folks like I have here who are connecting to their Office 365 from their home machines to do work in the evening or on the weekends to get caught up or get ahead, right? And they're potentially moving something from a machine that we're not securing here into our OneDrive that then is going to come down to one of our machines here, being able to see and get visibility and get security across that could be huge for a lot of folks. So some pretty neat stuff there. Thank you so much, Kevin and Modi. Appreciate your time. We appreciate everybody who has had a chance to watch this webinar with us today. Your productive rep will be following up with you after the event, and we hope to see you in the future on another productive webinar. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.